I pray to God that we get some baton practice in, because if we don't, Jamaica is not going to medal in this. You know, the teams are way too close for any mistakes. Once you make a mistake, that is it for you. Hey trackies, welcome back to another video here on TXT Track Time. Please remember to like the video and also subscribe to the channel. Boy, when me telling if you like, when you can't like. Alright, with that said, I've clearly looked at the women's 4x100 meters. Now it's time to look at the men's equivalent to see, you know, what's going to happen here. And I'm not gonna lie, it's much more challenging because there are many more teams to factor in, you know, those medals. Now I'm talking about teams like Japan possibly sneaking in. Of course, Canada is a very, very live threat. They're looking, you know, on pace to do something that they did similar to last year, and as we know, they won the gold medal last year and they're on pace this year again. So they're a very live threat, you know, to take that gold medal as well. We also have the United States of America, you know, Jamaica is, you know, in there with a shout. Of course, also there's Great Britain. And I'm still kind of eyeing, you know, Italy. Not sure what Lamont Jacobs is up to, but providing that he's good, you know, I'm giving them a little shout to see, you know, if they'll, you know, be coming with anything. And also, you know, there's always, you know, a few African teams that are in the mix as well. But with that said, I'm looking at these, you know, major teams, you know, to challenge, you know, for a medal, right? So let's take a look at, you know, each team individually and see how they match up. Well, as I said before, last year Canada took the win, and when I look at it pound for pound this year, their athletes are, you know, pretty much running the same times. And as I said, they walked away with the win last year. They had very crisp baton changes, and again, that, you know, led to them taking the win over the United States of America. United States of America was very good as well last year as well. Just a few minor errors, you know, errors that you could even just overlook on another day, but not that day. You know, that error, those, you know, couple errors that they experienced in the race literally led to their loss in that 4x100 meters. Don't get me wrong, Andre DeGrasse is a relay bully, so maybe if they didn't experience those errors, he would still somehow run them down and win, you know what I mean? But we have to recognize that there were issues, you know, on a few of their legs. But for me, overall, they still did well, right? And of course, there's Great Britain. Great Britain, however, is looking much better than they did last year. So they for sure are definitely in for a shout. And of course, that's gold I'm talking about, challenging for gold. All the teams that I've mentioned so far, you know, challenging for gold. And then there's Jamaica, in my opinion, that can also challenge for gold. Now, I do have the outside, you know, Japan, because again, these athletes stay practiced, right? So I do have them as an outside shout, so that if anybody makes a mistake from the big teams, the big guns that you're expecting to, you know, figure in the bigger scheme of things, they'll be right there to clean up, right? They're going to clean up the medals, so y'all don't make any mistakes, right? So with that said, again, when I look at, you know, Team Jamaica, we're going in with Akeem Blake, 9.89 so far this season. Rohan Watson, 9.91. We're going in with Oblique Seville, 9.95, and Ryan Ford, 9.96. That averages us around roughly 9.93. Then when I look at the United States, you know, they're going in with Fred Curley, 9.98. Crevant Charleston, I'm not sure if he's going, because I did hear he suffered an injury, you know, at the relay camp, so I'm not sure if he's going, but I still have him slotted here. He has currently run 9.90 so far this season. Then we have Christian Coleman so far this season, 9.91, and then we have Noah Lyles, 9.94 so far this season. And I've roughly averaged them around 9. Well, not roughly, they're average 9.91. And then when I look at, you know, even if you toss in, you know, Marvin Bracey at 9.93 and take out, you know, Crevant Charleston, that's still, you know, a super fast team heading into the World Championships. And again, pound for pound, 9.91 versus 9.93 as it relates to averages for Jamaica and the United States. That's not anything called a difference at all. There's no difference, right? So when we look at Great Britain now, right, they've been having a phenomenal season as well. Quite a few of their athletes have stepped up and, you know, run, you know, much faster this season. And again, the biggest one so far, you know, Zarnell Hughes, right? He's looking absolutely phenomenal. So far, their team at 9.83 for Zarnell, you know, Amoa 9.93. Then we have Reese Prescott 9.99, and of course Jeremiah Azu 10. 9.04. So when I look at the average of that, that is 9.95. So again, 9.91, 9.93, 9.95. There's literally no difference when you look at the averages of these, teams heading into the World Championship finals. And of course, I'm assuming for the teams that are non-Jamaican, because I think we pretty much understand Jamaica that they'll be working with top 4. So for the teams that are non-Jamaican, I'm assuming that these will be the teams that they're using heading into the World Championships. If not, it won't be much different in terms of times or performances anyway, depending on who they choose. But with that said, again, there's not much difference. And again, as I said, Canada is also, in and around the same place they were last year. So they are also, in the thick of things. Not much different from, any other times that I mentioned, from all the other, teams thus far this season. So, trackies, let's look at it, leg by leg now. Last year, America had Christian Coleman on the first leg. Now, don't get me wrong, this was still not Christian Coleman, back to his best. I think he's better this year, right? However, again, that was up against our, Akeem Blake, right? He clearly, defeated Akeem Blake on that first leg. For me personally, I believe that Akeem Blake will be able to get the better of Christian Coleman this time around if they put Christian Coleman on the first leg. And I'm assuming, based on his performance last year, that they're definitely going to put him back, on that first leg. So for Canada had Aaron Brown. That was a pretty solid leg, by him. I'm assuming that they'll also put him back on the first leg. So again, so far so good in terms of teams. They seem pretty level. I'm hoping, just based off flat speed, that this year that Akeem Blake will be able to get the better of those athletes on the first leg. And I'm also hoping that we can get the better of Great Britain, because again, when you look at individual flat speed, he will be faster than who I'm assuming is going to be used on the first leg for all of the other teams mentioned. Now let's go into the second leg. Now this is going to be a big deal. Last year we used Johan Blake, did not run the best backstretch. Unfortunately, Noah Lyles ate that backstretch as well. And there was also Jerome Blake for Canada. He ran, well as well. And for, Great Britain has Darnell Hughes. Well, guess what? This is a much better version of Darnell Hughes. A Darnell Hughes that has been smashing records left, right, and center. And I'm talking about getting down to 9.83. So he's, without a shadow of a doubt, going to tear up that backstretch. Regardless of Noah Lyles being on it, he's going to tear up that backstretch. So Jamaica needs to ensure that on that first leg, it can slightly be ahead, and including, crisp baton changes. Again, I pray to God that we get some baton practice in, because if we don't, Jamaica is not going to medal in this. The teams are way too close for any mistakes. Once you make a mistake, that is it for you, right? So again, Darnell Hughes for me is going to eat that backstretch. So we need to make sure whoever we put on the backstretch. And so far, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking maybe we could go with Ryan Ford or Rohan Watson, depending. I believe that they can challenge. Maybe Rohan Watson, to be fair, I would put on, that backstretch, because again, you want somebody that can possibly contend with what Darnell Hughes is going to be dropping. And that's a 9.83 man. So he's going to be doing something ridiculous on that backstretch. So we need somebody that can contend with that. So maybe Rohan Watson. And again, America, in my opinion, will also probably have, Noah Lyles there. I don't think that Canada will have Jerome Blake. I'm not sure if he's on the team this year. But again, I believe that they'll also have a competent, performance there as well. Because I did look at the times, and the times are pretty similar to what, they were doing last year as well. So moving on from that, second leg. Now we go into that third leg. Trackies, it's important here again. I do not believe that Oblique Civil is suited for that third leg. I don't know what happened with him last year. I kept rewatching, the clip. Still couldn't really see what happened clearly. It looked to me like he took a while to get going. Not sure. But all in all, that was not the best bend runner. And again, he rarely, if ever, runs to 200. So again, to me, I would not put him on the bend and leave him on the straight. So the only person left at this point is Ryan Ford. I'll just slot Ryan Ford on that third leg and pray that he holds up against America's, Brendan Rodney. And because again, Canada, well, not Canada, not America, sorry, Canada's Brendan Rodney. Again, Canada stays, practice, so they'll be coming ready, and Brendan Rodney looks much better this season as well. So hopefully he can challenge against, Brendan Rodney. For America, it depends on who they're using. We have Fred Curley. Again, there's Crevant Charleston. Not sure who they're gonna use, or Marvin Bracey, depending. So let's see. But I'm hoping that again he'll be able to challenge against, those guys, leading into the final leg. And for me, final leg, Oblique Seville up against, for America, either Fred Curley. I'm assuming maybe Fred Curley, although he runs Benz as well, so not sure who they're gonna put there. But that's how it looks with America. And then of course Andre DeGrasse for Canada, the relay bully. And of course, Great Britain will be someplace in the mix. Now, Chakis, we have to make sure that we come out ahead of Canada. Because again, Andre DeGrasse is a relay bully, right? So we have to ensure that we come out ahead of Canada for sure. And, personally, I believe foot speed, as it relates to Oblique Seville, I do believe that, he will be able to, if slightly behind, can possibly try to hunt down an athlete. But if not, and he's in the lead, hopefully, then we can possibly, pull off a win. But again, it's going to be pretty close. And it all comes down to, again, the baton exchanges. If these changes do not happen as slick and as crisp as possible, Jamaica could again land in 4th place, because there's still Canada, as I said, looking good. United States is looking good. Great Britain is looking good. And of course, Jamaica is looking good. When we look at averages again, 9.91, 9.93, 9.95. And of course, there's Canada with the miraculous man. So I'm expecting Canada to be in there with a shout. Japan will be in and around there someplace, and maybe Italy. But if everything goes well for the big teams, I'm seeing, those big sides ahead of, Japan and also Italy. However, the baton exchanges are very important. I'm praying that all the guys can, have a slick exchange, and it comes down to, who is hungrier on the day, or, that kind of warrior vibe that you get in the relay. Let's see who can pull off, the best warrior on that day. But anyway, Chakis, you sound off in the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. What do you make of this men's 4x100 meters? America versus Great Britain versus Jamaica versus Canada. And I'm talking about, when you look at them pound for pound, the teams are literally, in a dead heat. Who do you think takes the win? Like the video, and of course subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.